Hello everybody, Evan Edinger here. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about mental health. Mental health is one of those things that people just don't like talking about. Even though everyone at some point in their lives will experience issues with their mental health, we just like to keep quiet about it for some reason. When the best way of fixing things is usually talking about it. So that's what we're doing today. Also, right off the bat, I am not an expert in this topic. This is more of a chilled discussion based on my experiences, some friends' experiences. I mean, you're not gonna see any like diploma for psychotherapy behind me in the video. Maybe I should put my math one up just to be like, I can count. But yeah, the goal of this video is to have a chilled discussion about topics that a lot of people find a bit uncomfortable to talk about. So I figured the best way of going about this is to reach out to you guys on Instagram and ask if you have any mental health topics you'd like to know more about, and everything would be done anonymously. I mean, say what you want about Instagram, but I'm really thankful for that questions feature that's on stories because I've been using it a lot in the last month or two, and it just makes me feel like I'm able to communicate with you guys better in my community and just figure out like so many different things. For instance, didn't know what I was going to be for Halloween, stole some ideas off you guys. So if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, please do. I'm hoping to do more of this community-driven content that I'm hoping is helpful. At the end of the day, I really hope this is a video that helps people. So let's jump into it. I think I might have depression. I bring it up to my mom and dad, and they say I have nothing to be sad about. I mean, congrats to your mom and dad. They seem to understand depression. You do have nothing to be sad about. That's the whole point. It's depression. There's nothing like external that's giving you this feeling. It's something in your brain chemistry. But on a more serious note, it is very upsetting when you feel like you're not being listened to and you feel like you've opened up and been like, I think I have depression, and your parents or your friends aren't actually like believing you. The best way to be taken more seriously in this regard is to get a professional diagnosis. I know that in our heads, we all know how we're feeling individually. Like no one can tell you you don't have what you know you have. But being able to say a doctor has said this about me, it holds a bit more weight with your parents who sadly aren't listening to you as much as they should. Plus, after you get professionally diagnosed, hopefully the doctor is able to help you in ways that he couldn't have before you were diagnosed with anything. And following on from the last one, is it easy to access low-cost / public services in the UK if you're self-employed? This is a question I'd love to hear from you guys on if you're British and self-employed. Do you find this the case? Because personally, I've never had to use any of these services while in the UK, but I do have a friend that wanted to get therapy, and it's supposed to be free under the NHS, but it took him 2 months till he was actually able to get his first appointment, and then you only get 4 weeks, and then you're cut free, and they're like, hope you find a therapist you can pay. It's a bit annoying. I mean, 4 weeks is better than nothing. Let's be grateful for what we have, but also that's a really frustrating situation where now he's got to switch therapists and has to start all over, and it's like, it's not a good situation. So is it easy to access? It takes a while to get, so I'm gonna say no, but like I said, if you guys have different experiences, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Tip for a Demis virgin 28 whose mind is struggling with different feelings about what to do. Well, hopefully you'd get more than just the tip after you develop a strong bond. Listen. Humor's my coping mechanism. Calm down. Here's the thing. It might feel like everything in the media and everyone around you is just so sex-driven, which makes you feel broken and weird because that's not how you operate. That's not the case. You also might feel more stressed because the fact that you're getting older and you feel like because you're older and you haven't lost your virginity yet, that makes you less of living a life than everyone else that's around you. That's also not the case at all. You have a completely different life path than everyone around you. You might have friends that had sex when they were 16. You might have friends that were virgins until they were 40. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter as much as you think it does. The value of never having sex or having sex is so intrinsically in your own mind, and that's basically the fault of society around you telling you that how big a deal it is, when in the end, it's really not as big a deal as you think it is. I know that's not something that's easy to believe, and especially because as you get older, you get more and more stressed that, oh no, my time is running out. It's not. Everyone has their own path, and you not having it until 28, 29, 30, who cares? What really matters is when you're ready, you'll be happy. You'll find the right person and everything will be great. And you shouldn't be settling, you shouldn't be rushing, you shouldn't be freaking out. You should just kind of just live your life as you're doing now, and I hate being the guy that says this, but just be patient. Basically, just focus on the things you can control, and I'm sure when it happens, it'll happen. How do you respond to someone that says things like, I'm so ugly and fat? That is a really tough question. I've had friends that were like this, and they suffer from low self-esteem, and it's really rough because you can't do much of anything really to help someone's self-esteem. That's all about them. You can be like, I think you're really pretty, and they'll be like, but I'm an ugly goblin, and that's just how it is. Like, that is something that's going to take them time to heal. So I have this friend that used to have really low self-esteem, to the point where anytime she would receive a compliment, she would immediately bat it away with, no, I'm ugly, no, I'm this. And it's really tragic because, like I said, there's not much you can really do as a friend. What we did as a friend group was we kind of gave her a bit of an intervention. We're like, you really need to stop doing this. You need to stop belittling yourself and start thinking about yourself more positively. And I also have another friend at the moment that's very much like this. And no matter what, sometimes they can't go to class because they're stressed out about the way they look. And there's only so much you can really do. But personally, when this has happened to me, where a friend has, said negative things about themselves, I know it sounds lame. I sound like a camp counselor, like, well, but I've just said, what's one thing you really like about yourself? And it's a simple question, and it might catch them off guard because, like I said, it sounds a bit lame, but if they're focusing so much on putting themselves down for these certain attributes they really don't like, just talking about themselves in a more positive light, like maybe they make people laugh easy, or maybe they're good at photography, or maybe they're good at math. If they talk about things they're actually good at, it will help them over time start to build a better picture of themselves in their heads, and then hopefully they'll be a bit less, mean to themselves. Thanks for the question. Sounds like you're a great friend, so hope your friendship grows. How has your experience with grief changed how you approach your mental health? This is a personal question. Not everyone deals with grief the same way. That's one thing you gotta realize. What'll work for one person may not work for another. I use humor as a coping mechanism. I know that seems to be an expression that's just tossed around, but I actually do. And when I was going through my own bit of grief, that was the one thing that helped me process what was going on. The more I could make jokes about this dark situation and try and bring humor into it, the more it allowed myself to process what actually happened. And also, I know this is very specific to me, but by writing down my feelings and then making a video about it and expressing everything, it felt like I was able to process, I was able to communicate, and it was out of my system, and I felt instantly better. Do you have to make a video? Absolutely not. Instead of making a video, you can write down your feelings and then maybe talk to a friend or talk to your parent or talk to someone. As long as you're getting it out and feeling listened to, hopefully maybe your grief will be a bit less. Like I said, that's what I did, and did it affect the way I approach my mental health? Not quite. It helped me approach how other people approach their own, in terms of I'm a bit more understanding, because you never really know what anyone else is going through, because not everyone is going to be as open as you may be. So just be a bit more considerate. Do you think anxiety can harden making friends / romantic relationships? I mean, the anxiety in your brain is like, yes, I can, and I'm doing it right now. Nobody likes you. It's my fault. But you gotta not listen. It's so difficult to, but yes, most definitely it does. But as much as I feel like anxiety does have a big effect on hardening these relationships, I do think a lot of it is internal. It's that voice in our head, that negative voice that's telling us these negative things, that's making us act certain ways. I find the best way of avoiding this, if you can, there's a bit of a trope in this video, communicate to your friends, to your romantic partner, to whoever it is. If you're feeling anxious, they won't know. They might just think, wow, that was a bit out of character. That was a bit mean of them. I don't know why they've done this type of thing, when you're feeling particularly anxious. By saying, hey, by the way, I'm just feeling a bit anxious today. At this point, a good friend or good romantic partner is way more understanding. They're like, oh, okay, that'll help you so much more. The fact that you've just said it out loud, now you feel like you've been listened to, and hopefully they will help you feel a bit less anxious. Talk about your problems. Even if the anxiety doesn't want you to. Clap for yourself for doing it. Do you have anxiety? If yes, what are some ways to manage it as an adult? Yes, I've had anxiety for a couple years now, and I find the best way of managing it is to get out of the situation that causes it in the first place. Yes, it's not possible for everyone, but if you know that something is causing anxiety, try and avoid that thing. If you can't, there's a lot of things that I have that I do that work very much so. 1, most times when I have anxiety, it's because I'm overworking myself, so take a break. I go downstairs, I make a cup of soothing tea, a little bit of a break, maybe have a snack, go back upstairs, get some work done, feel better. 2, I like to practice some piano right here, this beautiful boy. It's a way of just feeling productive, like I'm learning something, and also it's just soothing and it's nice and it's pretty, and then I go back and I feel a lot better. 3, I like doing more things that make me feel productive, so I like to learn languages. I'll do some practice at learning a language, do a couple lessons, and bam, I feel a little bit better about myself. And the last one, the one that really works for me the most, if I'm really stressed and I have a lot of anxiety, I just go for a run. If you're not able to run long, this is something you can work at, and that will actually help you decrease your anxiety as well. I used Couch to 5K. It got me from not being able to run 1 minute to being able to run for 20. Woo! Running is a lot like meditation. You focus on your breath, you focus on your steps, you're moving, you're trying to keep the same cadence, the same pace. Slowly but surely, you realize you're calm. Also, your brain is rushed with more dopamine. You start to chill out. Anytime I've been extra stressed, as soon as I do a nice run, it's all gone. So I know not everyone likes to hear be physically fit, but it really does work, at least for me. Also, it makes you healthier, so that should make you feel better about yourself as well. Honestly, running, going to the gym, it's great. 10 out of 10. How do you know the difference between a healthy and an unhealthy amount of stress? Is it affecting your daily routine? after it's over? Is it affecting your sleeping patterns, your diet, your physical health? That's unhealthy. If it's not, maybe it's not so much. Do you think jobs should have mental health days? 100%. They're called sick days for a reason. It doesn't matter if you're physically sick or if you're mentally sick. Either one, you should be able to call out sick. At most every job I've had in London, I've been able to do that. My most recent one, I remember going into work, I got there at 9. By 11, I was so anxious and I didn't know why, but I was so stressed that I just told my boss, I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm not gonna be that effective today. I'm really, really anxious. And he was like, okay, that's fine, go home. So I went home. I find most companies in the UK are pretty liberal with mental health days. I know that in the US, it might be a lot different. I know that my previous company in the US, they were like, you need a sick note. And I was like, I can't afford to get a sick note. But yeah, mental health days should be counted the same as physical health days. What has been your most efficient method of self-care? To-do lists. I think I've talked about them before on my channel, but to-do lists. Number one thing on your to-do list today, make a to-do list. Once my day has been started, I immediately create a to-do list of things that I know I want to get done. Sure, I might not get every one of those things done, but just being able to tick those things off, I feel productive. I feel like I'm getting stuff done. It doesn't feel like this mess of things that I'll never ever finish, as opposed to, oh look, I cleaned my room, I did the wash, I started this video, I sent that invoice. All those things slowly but surely make you feel like you're getting a lot of stuff done. So to-do lists is a really good thing for self-care, in my opinion. Also, treat yourself to breakfast every single day. Ask anyone that lives with me. Every morning I have 2 eggs, 2 sausages, some Greek yogurt, and some granola, and a nice cup of coffee. I do this every single morning. Why? Before I go to sleep, I get excited about waking up because I know I'm going to have a delicious and lovely breakfast. It genuinely makes me excited to start each and every day. And by starting my day well, it can continue on and hopefully I have a good mood for the rest of the day. So if you're one of those people that likes to skip breakfast, try treating yourself to a quick and lovely breakfast every morning, at least for a week, and see how that works. Have you ever been to therapy? And if so, what kind of practice did they use? I went to therapy for 4 sessions when I was living in Munich last year, and it was super great. Really loved it. Can't afford it. It was 120 euros a session. It was so great. They were a humanistic approach. It wasn't any art or music, and it wasn't any type of experimental therapy. It was just me talking to a psychiatrist about my problems, and I opened up immediately. I'm like, let's talk. She gave me homework assignments at the end of each session, like come up with 5 things I really like about myself and 5 things I really dislike about myself. Sometime in the near future, I'd like to go back to therapy because it is just really great. Regardless of if you think you need it, it's just nice to talk to someone really experienced about like human beings and how our brains work. You'll be amazed what you find out. How is managing stress and anxiety different from the switch of high school to college? Easier? I personally found it a lot easier because college, you're able to plan your time better. So if you're really stressed about one class, well, luckily you have a lot of time in between. You can kind of work on that a bit more. In high school, you're kind of in a rut. You have to do the same thing over and over and over and over. In college, I always had a lot more free time. Even semesters when I had like 18 credits, which was intense, and I worked 30 hours a week at a place and I was making videos. Like I said, I like to keep myself busy. Even those times, I still felt way better at managing time than in high school where I didn't feel like I had control. But hey, if you disagree, love to hear about it in the comments. Maybe you found college more difficult. Tell me how. Have you ever had an anxiety attack? And if so, how'd you deal with it? So I've had a couple anxiety attacks in my life, but I remember the first one very distinctly because my whole life felt like it was in turmoil. 1, my company had just gone under, so I had lost my job. And 2, I didn't know if I was gonna be able to stay in the country. It was really stressed. I had to find another job really quickly or I'd be deported, so that was really stressful. I had recently just gotten out of a relationship and I felt like, oh gosh, I'm never gonna find someone again. So all 3 of these things, the final straw that broke the camel's back, I watched a film called Shutter Island. Everyone has different triggers, okay? This is very strange, but it's a film with an unfaithful narrator and you never really know if what's happening is really happening. It was the wrong film at the wrong time. I didn't know if anything that was happening in my life was real or if I could trust it. I was so freaked out that one thing had sent my brain just tilted just a little bit. And because everything was already so loose, I started crying. I remember like laying on the ground and I was just crying. I didn't know why. I was just stressed and scared of everything and anything. I ended up just calling my friend on the phone who talked to me and we talked for like 2 hours. And I felt so much better just having someone to talk to about it. I still felt a bit weird going to sleep that night, but I've never quite had an anxiety attack that bad afterwards. I've had stress, but nothing will quite compare to having your entire life up in the air like I did and watching Shutter Island. But hey, everyone has different triggers and everyone is going through their own thing. Everyone has their own life path, and hopefully at the end of this video you've realized, please, if you're having any issues, communicate. Reach out to someone, talk to someone, and I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you found it helpful and you liked it, please be sure to tell me in the comments and give it a big old thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. I'd like to do more stuff like this, like I said, on the old Instagram and on here. So if you want to give me ideas for future videos, I'd appreciate it. There's other videos up here. Probably a bit more lighthearted, to be honest, if you want to watch those. But I'll see you guys next week. Bye.